Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's good to have you back with us at Somaliland National Television. You're tuned into the English news program with me, Adam Muhammad Osman. Let's take a look at the main stories making the headlines. Hargeisa local government hosts conference for various local governments nationwide. Ministry of Public Works and Transport displays a new modern Somaliland license. UK to allow 3-person IV treatment. In an event held at the Ministry of Public Works and Transport, which was aimed at displaying a new modern licensed service which will operate in Somaliland, which composes of all the information required for license holders, had the Minister of Public Works and Transport, Ahmed Abdi Habs, in attendance with other state officials. The Director General of the Ministry of Public Works and Transport, Hassan Golombe, spoke on the relevance of the modern license, which is aimed at serving the nation in regards to the development of correct road transport practices. The Somaliland Minister of Public Works and Transport, Ahmed Abdi Habs, also spoke on issues pertaining to reducing recurrent car accidents, which is caused by poor road transport knowledge of drivers. The Minister informed the public that these licenses will be available as of the 1st of July. Minister of Public Works and Transport Ahmed Abdi Habs confirmed that the new license will be provided for those who undergo exams at the Ministry of Public Works and Transport and will be backed up on an electronic database. This approach moves away from the previous book carried by Somaliland drivers, and traffic officers will be able to check the details of licenses through contacting a central office, which provides greater security. The Ministry of Finance will continue as the central finance point for this operation undertaken through the Ministry of Public Works, Transport and Housing. In addition, the new licenses will also include the driver's blood type to allow for improved medical services in the event of an accident that will provide doctors with necessary information required for transfusions, as and when necessary. An event was held to commemorate the graduation of 21 students from various districts across the country in regards to technical studies, which was held via DRC, the Danish Refugee Council, and the NGO GAVO, who collectively cooperated to provide sustenance support for these technical schools to enhance knowledge of students across Somaliland.
An event organized to commemorate 21st students graduated from the technical studies in a workshop which was funded by the DRC and implemented by the local NGO GAVO took place in the capital of Somaliland, Hargeisa. The director of GAVO NGO, Ahmed Hirsi, spoke at the event, elaborating on the importance of the technical studies for the youth nationwide, as well as enhancing youth awareness towards providing ways to create opportunities for thousands of unemployed students. A high-ranking official of DRC, Martin, corroborated the significance of developing youth knowledge in regards to technical studies. He claimed the role that DRC plays providing a path for youth following the finalization of their education. Minister of Labour and Social Affairs Mohammed Baragarat reiterated the significance of youth involvement in the development of various sectors of the nation, as well as enhancing youth performance to achieve economic growth and infrastructural development.
An event organized by the Somaliland Local Governments Association, which is destined to enhance collaboration amongst local governments serving the nation, as well as sharing administrative programs for national development projects.
An event hosted by the Hargeisa local government to discuss necessary cooperation among the local governments of Somaliland, as well as sharing administrative programs to provide public services for the urban and rural residents throughout Somaliland. The mayor of the capital of Somaliland, Abdurrahman Mohammed Aidid, spoke on the vital role that the mayors should play on coordinating administration to synchronize necessary services for the nation. Regarding the duties of the local government authorities, the mayor also signified upcoming meetings for the local governments, which are due to be held, focusing on the performance of the local municipalities.
An event was held at Golis University, where the attending sermon was presented by prolific Islamic scholar Dr. Bilal Phillips. The event itself was held in the capital of Somaliland, Hargeisa, and had a lot to do with illegal migration.
Bilal Phillips presented an Islamic sermon focusing on the importance of enhancing Islamic studies at the various universities in Somaliland, as well as taking preventative measures on the threats of illegal immigration. Dr. Bilal Phillips spoke in stentorian tone on reducing illegal immigration. Bilal Phillips apprised the students of Gullis University to particularly emphasize on partaking and enhancing the knowledge for Islam to those with illiteracy for the Islamic religion. The professor acknowledged the developments generated by the universities in Somaliland, particularly Gullis University, which moved forward on exhibiting Islamic studies in its fields of studies. Bilal Phillips pledged for working with Gullis University on behalf of Online Islamic University.
You're still tuned into the English news programme on Somaliland National Television, the only Somali-speaking channel with an English news programme. And now for our international headlines in detail. Egypt braced for mass protests on Sunday as pro- and anti-government protesters gathered in the capital for the first anniversary of the inauguration of the country's first democratically elected president, Mohamed Morsi. Thousands of people opposed to President Mohamed Morsi already gathered in Cairo's Tahrir Square, calling for him to resign, while the president's supporters have vowed to defend his legitimacy to the end, leading to fears of confrontation. Morsi supporters held their own rally outside a Cairo mosque on Friday, an effort to preempt Sunday's demonstrations, and thousands of them are holding open-ended sit-ins. The anti-Morsi protests are being organized by a grassroots campaign calling itself Tamrod, meaning rebellion or insubordination, which claims to have collected signatures from 22 million Egyptians demanding the president's ousting. The signature drive has no legal standing, but nonetheless tapped into widespread public anger towards Morsi. The president has made a number of controversial decisions since taking office, most notably a November decree which shielded his decision from judicial review. Egypt's economy is in freefall. The pound has dropped in value by nearly 20% since Morsi took office. Foreign investment continues to dry up, and businesses are paralyzed by widespread fuel and electricity shortages. Human rights abuses remain widespread. Rights groups say, within Morsi's administration, doing little to rein in notoriously brutal security services. US President Barack Obama is heading for Robben Island in Cape Town, where Nelson Mandela was jailed for 18 years of his 27 years imprisonment under the white apartheid rule. Sunday's trip is part of the US leader's three-nation African tour, which a day earlier saw him meet with South African President Jacob Zuma and members of Mandela's family. Obama will also build the keynote speech of his tour at the University of Cape Town around Mandela, and will cite his unifying legacy as a blueprint for a new generation in emerging Africa. A visit to the AIDS clinic with Desmond Tutu, the retired Archbishop of Cape Town, who received the Nobel Peace Prize in 1984, is also on the agenda. Elsewhere, the Reuters news agency reported on Sunday that they will see an announcement of $7 billion initiative over 5 years to double access to power in sub-Saharan Africa. We see this as the next phase in our development strategy and a real focal point in the President's agenda going forward, said Ben Rhodes, a national security advisor. Speaking a day earlier in Pretoria, just a few miles away from the hospital where Mandela is being treated, Obama said, "For me to be able to bring my daughters there and teach them the history of that place, Robben Island, and this country, that's a great privilege and great honor." Mandela's illness has placed Obama in a tricky political spot, forcing him to balance his desire to push for a new economic relationship with Africa with the need to properly honor his hero as the world braces for his passing. Britain is on the path to becoming the first country to allow a technique to create babies using DNA from 3 people in a bid to prevent couples passing on rare genetic diseases. The technique, which scientists said would create a 3-parent child, prevents women with faulty mitochondria, the energy source in a cell, from passing on to their baby's defects that can result in such diseases as muscular dystrophy, epilepsy, heart problems and mental retardation. 1 in about 200 children is born every year in Britain with mitochondrial disorder. Scientists will take only healthy genetic material from the egg or embryo of a mother suffering from the disease. They can then transfer that into a donor egg, and the embryo still has its healthy mitochondria and has the rest of its DNA removed. Scientists said that the actual DNA from the donor is minimal, making the 3-parent child claim inaccurate. The fertilized embryo is then transferred to the womb of the mother. The technique is yet to be passed in Parliament, but earlier this year, UK's fertility regulator said it found most people supportive of the new vitro fertilization methods after public consultation that included hearings and written submissions. British law prevents altering human egg or embryos before transferring it into a woman, so such treatments can only be allowed for research. Chief Medical Officer at UK Department of Health, Professor Dame Sally Davis, said the impact of mitochondrial disease was devastating for those who carried it. Critics have slammed the methods as unethical and said there are other ways for people with genetic problems to have healthy children, like egg donation or tests to screen out potentially problematic embryos. In response to public consultation, the charity Christian Medical Fellowship said the techniques were unethical. And that's all the news we have for you today. Thanks very much for watching. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.